Welcome to Tea with a Shepherd. We are in part 5, and since it's Friday, I've asked my husband to join me again. And as I've been building up already, I've been pretty excited about this particular part because it's just so good, so rich to understand the geography and where Jesus is talking to Peter at. It just really fills in a lot more. But my husband is the historian, the what is the word for geography person?
Geographer.
It didn't sound right when I said it in my head. Okay, so the historian and the geographer, whatever. It still doesn't sound right. Anyway, I'm going to let him discuss it better because if I say it, I think I will probably mess it up a bit. So go ahead. You can go ahead and talk a little bit about where Peter is when he's where Jesus is talking to disciples.
Have you talked about the wicked generation asking for a sign yet?
Yes, I did. Okay. Do you want to add more to it?
No, other than, when I was growing up until just a few years ago, for some reason, every time that I read it, I thought that Jesus was saying only the wicked generation asked for a sign. Instead, he was kind of mocking them, saying, "Oh, look, the wicked folks are asking for a sign. Like the righteous people get signs all the time. Oh, look, the wicked are trying to be righteous all of a sudden." Like that was a total shift that I didn't get. I thought it was, if you're asking for a sign, you're part of the wicked folks, not the wicked people. They're finally asking for a sign. Yeah, no, it was totally.
It's an interesting perspective. I never even thought about hearing it that way.
Yeah, that was so it was a big change because therefore I was like, nope, we're not asking for signs because Jesus clearly said only the wicked folks ask for signs. When really what he was saying was everybody's been asking for a sign. Oh, finally you guys are getting around to it. Kind of mocking them.
Well, they asked for a sign though back in 12, and that's the thing we're discussing is in 12, 35 to 42 or 38. Sorry, they were asking the same thing, and Jesus responds to them again with the same kind of answer about Jonah. But they were wanting him to bring a sign from heaven, fire down from heaven, lightning bolts. They were looking for something extraordinary.
Yeah, but that gets close to when people in the church are like, "Lord, show your power. Bring your signs and wonders and miracles. Renew them in our day. Show them in our day." It's like, okay, well, you can't ask for that because that's what the wicked ask for, is for God to show. Anyway, God to show up.
It also had to do a lot with their hearts, though, because their hearts were, it didn't matter what Jesus had done with, they still would have.
I know. I'm just saying that was the viewpoint was the wicked were the ones that asked for a sign. So the righteous should trust and have faith, and they don't need to see the things.
So that was I see. I don't think I never really had that kind of thought growing up. It's an interesting.
I'm not saying nobody gave me that. That was just when I read it. That's what I got. It wasn't the. Yeah, anybody can have a sign, but you guys are kind of late to the party, and you're the stupid wicked folks, and you're just now getting around to asking this. Oh look, the people who don't believe are asking for a sign. Anyway.
Okay.
It was a.
So was there any other thoughts that you had before we get into the
No, not really.
Okay. Well, go ahead, share then. Where are they? Where are they at?
Starting in verse 13.
13, yeah, they're 13. In Caesarea Philippi.
They're in Caesarea Philippi. Caesarea Philippi is up in the northern part of Israel. Even today, there is it was a Roman Roman town. It was kind of built there by the Romans. It wasn't like taken over and renamed. That was there. Although around it was, okay, so this is the part where he asks his disciples, who are people saying the Son of Man is, and then Peter says, "You're the Messiah, the Son of the living God," and he's saying, "You're Peter, and on this rock I will build my ecclesia, my council." Have you talked to them about what ecclesia means?
Yeah, I'm thinking to you, assembly of the Lord, governing body.
The legislative, culture-changing, governing body. On this rock I will build my ecclesia, and the gates of hell will not overcome it. I give you the keys, kingdom, so on, so on, so on. Okay. So at Caesarea Philippi, there was, how much time we got left? I'm looking on the camera. Okay.
They worship Baal and Pan is what we briefly touched on.
At Caesarea Philippi, there's this great big grotto. It used to be the headwaters of the Jordan River until they filled in the grotto. Anyway, even back in Josephus's day, so around just after Jesus' time, they hadn't been able to plumb the bottom of it. Like, you drop a weighted line in the, and they hadn't been able to find the bottom of this grotto. So that it was thought that was the gates of hell, the grotto of Pan, where they worship the god Pan. Remember, Pan is the half human, half goat. When you're a kid, like the first image you have of Satan is like the pointy beard and the horns and the pointy tail and the goat hook. Like that's Pan. That was the Greek god Pan. Anyway, so this is the grotto of Pan, also known as the gates of hell. It was for them the literal entrance to the underworld. And so they're there, and this is where, well, okay, and there's also a great big rock that's in the grotto.
And here I'm going to insert a picture so that you can actually see what it looks like.
And so archaeologists today, like there's an archaeological dig going on there right now, and the archaeologist who's in charge of it is speculating that they had a statue of Pan out in the middle of this grotto on the rock right there. And so Jesus is standing at the edge of the grotto of Pan, at the edge of the gates of hell. And by the way, there's temples to a lot of Roman and Greek gods behind him. Like there was a bunch of them, but this was Pan's grotto. And here at the gates of hell, Jesus is saying, on this rock, I know the Catholics will say Peter, the Protestants say it was Peter's declaration of faith. It's possible that Jesus was pointing at that rock and saying, on this rock, I will build my ecclesia. We're going to knock Pan and all the other gods off of their foundation. And on this rock, I'll build my community. And the gates of hell, this whole grotto right here, the gates of hell will not be able to overcome it.
It was a what is the word? I just had it. It was a double meaning, an entendre. So you're using it. There's this physical.
Like there's literally a rock in the literal gates of hell.
Yeah.
And Jesus is saying, that's where I'm going to put my church. We're going to knock the gods away. And it's not that, I know a lot of people read it and go, oh, the gates of hell won't be able to overcome the church. That's not what Jesus is saying. Jesus is saying the church is attacking the gates of hell, and the gates of hell won't be able to withstand the assaults of the church. This was further verified. This is where Jesus is announced as the Son of God by the disciples, and where he says, I'm building my church. So kind of an important place, like just as important as where he was born in Bethlehem and crucified in Jerusalem and buried in Jerusalem. Like this is an important place. It was, and it was that way. Like the ancient, this isn't anything new, because the archaeologists found mosaic floor from the 4th century AD, where Christians had built a little chapel there, like a pilgrimage chapel. They would go on pilgrimages around the world and to holy spots. So there was a pilgrimage chapel there at this site. They destroyed the temples to the gods, and the early Christians could come to this pilgrimage chapel and see the gates of hell, that hey, we are overcoming that place, and that cannot withstand against the church.
Powerful.
So he's just ain't just whistling Dixie. Like there's real places here that he's actually standing at.
Yeah, and that he gives us all supreme authority to be able to do that, to be able to overcome.
Yeah, whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth will be loosed in heaven. interesting that it's what you do on the earth will be done in heaven, whereas in Lord's Prayer it's on earth as it is in heaven. So it's both and there.
Okay, you've got like 30 seconds
Not
left.
really.
Anything else you need to add?
Not really. No. No. There's other stuff there, but no.
You're gonna just that's all we're gonna cover right now.
Nah.
All right.
There's more. There's like hours and
Now
hours
you
more.
tell them that right at the end. You should say the alpha cameras, and that they're not going. Well, tell us more.
Go explore more. Go explore more.
All right. Well, hopefully that little history and geography insight, not little, it's quite a big one actually, but hopefully that has given some further insight into understanding when Jesus is talking. It's not just little illustrations. There's things that go behind it that are quite powerful, and it gives a much stronger picture. So stay tuned for next week. Next week we're actually talking about the transfiguration, so that should get interesting in chapter 17.